Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Arrow number L671H. This is a key blank. Client ordered a box of 50. That's what a box of 50 are going to look like when they come in from Arrow. Not a lot of published data on Arrow's keyways. Well, I should say there's not a lot of data, I don't think, because their keyway structure is not nearly as extensive as other manufacturers. I don't know why that is, other than probably not a need for them to develop it like that. It's hard to really determine what sort of keyway you're working on when there's not a lot of published data. The most common Arrow, of course, cylinder or keyway is their AR. That's going to be in either a 5-pin or a 6-pin. Their classic AR, the regular Arrow keyway, the one that a Quickset key will go into, is a simplex keyway. And what that means is it's their stock keyway. It does not fit into any other keyway or vice versa because it's a simplex keyway, meaning it stands alone. Nothing passes it other than its own keyway. What I'm driving at is it's specifically not part of a multiplex system, and that would either be by design in a multiplex system where you'd have a standalone keyway so that you could absolutely exclude it from a multiplex system. But in the case of Arrow, it just happens to be a simplex keyway. I don't think they do that to keep it separate from their multiplex system, but it is indeed a standalone keyway. Fancy word, simplex. There is a link below this video to a document called Arrow Keyway Sections. That is an incredibly old document, and I'm going to guess it's from the early 90s. When you look at that document, the only system that actually still exists of conventional cylinders is their System 71. System 71 is probably going to refer to depth spacing, depth and spacing chart. Spacing and depth charts is what I'm trying to say. The System 93, the person that I spoke to at Arrow knew that it was obsolete but wasn't able to offer any other information on it, so I'm ignorant as to what that system was, and I'd love to learn about that if anyone can share. But looking at my System 71, that is what a multiplex system is. So what I'm trying to say is this is an H keyway. This is going to be an H keyway. This happens to also be their L bow. They have, of course, the standard K bow, which is the typical Arrow bow, the more petite version of this. So they've got the K and the L. The L is called the large bow, L. Okay, K, I'm not sure what K would stand for. Arrow does say to consult them for their sectional keyways, and I'm going to say that that's 71. That System 71 is a representation, at least, of the multiplex structure. So an H is a keyway from Arrow, as are the other 12 keyways from Arrow. And the important thing to derive from that, and I don't know this absolutely, but I would be amazed if it didn't work this way. You see an H, J, and an L. On top of that is an HL. That would be called a multi-section key blank, so that you could take an HL blank and run it into your H or your J or your L, but your H and your J and your L will not pass each other at all. Okay, they won't pass each other. So that's the multiplex sort of hierarchy. I imagine that this client has a H keyway for some reason, and I don't believe I've ever seen an H keyway from Arrow ever. But here it is, and in an L bow. So that keyway section is helpful because it will give us some information. Now what's interesting is they don't list the AR keyway on there. It'd be nice if they stuck it there and said, here's our stock standard keyway, which happens to be a simplex, meaning, again, that it simply stands alone. I'll give you a couple of dimensions, at least a blade length, I suppose. Shoulder to the tip of the blade. I wish they published their data. I really do. The stop that's further out is going to be the telltale sign that this is the top of the keyway. Plus, it just, based on my experience, I can tell it's the top of the keyway. From the shoulder stop to the tip of the blade, to where the blade really starts, is about 1.084. 1.084. It's the length of the blade. This is again is a 6-pin. They don't do a 7-pin in this. I don't know that they do any 7-pin. I doubt that they do in a conventional system. So you can order these in a K or an L bow. You can order them 5 or 6-pin. You can actually, I may be taking that back. Standard bow, A keyway. Large bow. Okay, so those are 6-pin only. Forgive me. You're not going to order these multiplex keyways in anything but 6-pin, which would make sense if you're working on a multiplex system. You'd want to have 6 pins. But anyway, to conclude that conversation, the HL key, it's a key, it's not a cylinder. It will pass the cylinders H, J, and L. Now, interestingly, the ER will pass all of those as well. Where you would pull an ER blank, and that's an all-section key blank, not a cylinder, it's just a key blank, is if you had, and I'm looking again at my cheat sheet, if you had cylinders on your project that were outside of the H, J, or L group. An example of that would be simply, imagine a Big Ten university and you've got 6 dorms. You're going to make the E, the F, the G dorm, the H, the J, the L dorm. Okay, you can have a master that will run each of those 3 groups, or you could have the proper individual walk around with an ER blank only who could pass everything. The advantage of that sort of system is that you don't have to copy, the advantage of a multiplex system is where you don't run out of differs or change key possibilities, because there's a theoretical number of potential changes, or differs, I think the English call it, in any system based on its step, its increment, the number of chambers or pins. And let's just say that an H system like this would cap out at 3,500 different real actual change keys. Well, what if you had a project of 12,000 doors? Yeah, you could, okay? You certainly could. You're going to get into a multiplex system because you take that bidding list and copy it to your other buildings, walk around with an all-section key blank. The downside of all-section key blanks is sometimes you'll run into someone cutting keys that's not a locksmith or not educated on anything other than how to use a key duplicator, copying someone's house key on an all-section blank. That's a bad idea, because not only are you potentially running into other keyways, and that would really not happen, but it would be a security issue under the umbrella of key control. But it's a weaker blank because the blank is most likely going to be substantially compromised in terms of what's been done to it, so that it will pass other keyways. If you have any questions on the Arrow, this is their part number, L671H. This is a box of 50. They're sold as each, but this happens to be a box of 50 L-bow H keyway 6-pin blanks, or any other Arrow product. And you can get to that from below this video to the manufacturer's page. You'll pull up the full line catalog and all the Arrow products that we sell, and a link over to the manufacturer's website. The neat thing about Arrow is their sister company is Medico. I think they're in the same facility, but I don't know that. And then when it comes to the world of industrial heavy-duty key control, Medico's name is first, and they were the first on the scene in 1968 with a revolutionary change in cylinder control, key control, pick resistance, etc. Any questions, please ask. Thank you.